What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, EA. It's the hot thing today. EA. So, EA was a publicly traded company up until, I guess, today. I don't know when the deal went through, but everybody's reporting on it today. So, let's say just today or whenever it happened. And now they're private. What does that mean? Well, they got a bunch of money and did this and that and this and the third, and someone bought them. Bought all the shares, bought out all the shareholders. Everybody who had shares got, what, $210 a share or something like that. So I didn't have any stock in EA. But what does it mean? Well, first, it means that, well, they're in debt. I mean, most companies have a debt, but they took out a loan to settle the debt, which the investors, I think there's 3 or 4 of them, have to incur the debt. It's part of the deal. As I understand it, it's Savvy. I think that's Savvy Game, whatever. It's the Saudi Arabians. They've been trying to get into gaming for a minute, and they seem to have bought one of the biggest things in gaming. Also, I believe, who was it? Jared Kushner's company? I forgot what the name of it is. And some other, I don't know who the rest, but I mean, I know those 2 entities are the owners, if you will. This is just, I mean, honestly, it's a money thing, right? I think the problem with it is that, I don't know about Savvy, whatever. We're going to keep those comments over there. But as far as Jared Kushner, is he a gamer? I don't think so. Does he care about gaming? I don't think so. He sees the opportunity to make money, and he got in. That's what the rich people do. How will that affect the EA stable, the EA games? Well, FC Club, they're safe. Madden, they're safe. Any game that is a game as a service that brings in billions of dollars a year, they're safe. Games that are not safe, Titanfall, this is the perfect opportunity for Microsoft to go in and say, psst, 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 hey, you want to sell any of your IPs? I mean, like, Titanfall, you want to sell that? Microsoft needs to buy Titanfall. That's all I'm saying. And then you mix Titanfall in with the Call of Duty universe. Would that work? I don't know. It's just like alien monsters in Titanfall. Apex Legends, Titanfall. But I don't know if they can sell it because Apex Legends is part of Titanfall. So if they sell the Titanfall IP, they'd have to sell Apex Legends. Apex Legends, I guess, makes some money, but it's probably going down because it's been a while. I don't know. So, I mean, whatever. It would be cool if someone could rip the Titanfall IP away from EA, who's doing nothing with it. Titanfall 2 is the best first-person military shooter in recent history. It still is. I'm gonna still say that for real. Remember the level where it was basically like a level construction factory? I was like, oh, hold up. How come no other game was this imaginative? You get into this place and there's machines and robots and arms creating levels that you previously kind of were in, and then you see the whole thing shift over so they can do some more work, and you're in the level. Yo, that was the most banana nuts crazy. I didn't even talk about the time travel stuff in Titanfall. Come on, son, that game is so great. And that's not even talking about the actual Titans. Remember the fight when you're on top of the ship and then the flying Titans and you're like, oh snap, and then what's his name? I call him Optimus. He's like Optimus Prime, basically. What's his name? BT? I forgot his name. But your robot was like, yo, and he caught you. I think that was a different level where he caught you and then he threw you across the thing. Anyway, Titanfall 2. I have to go back and play that. They need to remaster, do what they did with like not Gears of War, Elder Scrolls. Like just re-up the models, but keep everything because the gameplay is excellent. So just make the models a little bit more pretty. Maybe throw some some ray tracing in there or something, yo. But anyway, EA. So they have to pay, I think they owe 20 billion or something like that. They took out a loan to pay back what they owed, and now that 20 billion is transferred over to the new owner. So they now owe $20 billion to JP Morgan. I forgot where they got the money from. I think it was JP Morgan. Or Chase, or I don't know, whatever. So I don't know how this is gonna. It doesn't affect me personally because I don't play Madden. I don't play FC Club. Like I said, Titanfall is the only EA jam. I mean, the Star Wars games are cool. I started Jedi. What was the second one? Was it Jedi Survivor? Whatever the second one was. I started playing it and I was like, I don't feel like playing this. I just stopped. They're good games, but I'm like, I don't. For some reason, I'm just like not into those Star Wars games. That makes sense. I even played the demo for that last Outlaws. I was like, I mean, it's cool. It's open world. Yeah. I think it might just be Star Wars fatigue in a way, but I think what it is that it's not the IP itself. It's just that the games need to be really good. I'm not saying the games are bad, but the games need to be like, oh my God, this game is so good. It could be called Romper Room Playhouse featuring Barney, and I would still play this because it's so awesome. Gameplay first, right? So if the gameplay is on point, then make it a Star Wars game, cool, we're good. But I think these games are kind of meh. They're in the middle. They're mediocre. They're like, it's a game. It's not broken, you know. So yeah, I don't know, man. Anyway, EA. It's funny because a lot of detractors or ponies, donkey unicorns, whatever you want to call them, they're always pointing the finger at Microsoft. Microsoft's the evil corporation. Microsoft's monopoly. Microsoft's going to ruin gaming. Game Pass is going to ruin gaming. Blah, 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 blah. And then EA goes out and plays with the Saudi Arabians and basically Trump, if you want to, draw the line away from Jared Kushner to the prez. I don't hear nobody saying nothing. I don't hear none of these donkey unicorns and ponies saying anything bad about this EA deal. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the EA deal because, it's just happening right now. It's just basically ownership, transfer. Once again, it's a plus and a minus. The minus is that they got to pay back 20 billion, excuse me. Which means that they're going to try to even make more money than they have been, which means they're probably going to be doing some not so consumer friendly things, probably raising the prices of stuff. Probably $80 for Madden, probably going to happen because everybody's got to get Madden, and Madden is a monopoly basically. So you want to play football, you got to pay $80, and people will, So that's what's probably going to happen. So I don't think short term or long term, I don't think it's a good look. I think it's gonna be bad for the EA, Madden, FC players. But once again, maybe they won't because they make so much money on all those cards and all the stuff the DLC, not the DLC, the microtransactions. So maybe they'll be like, we'll keep it whatever, 70, and blah, blah, we'll make money on the microtransactions, and that's how they pay it back faster or easier. I don't know. I'm not too sure what their I know what their motivation is to make money, and they see that it makes billions of dollars a year. Each game makes billions of dollars a year, but they got to pay that money back. So I don't know. It is more of a long-term investment, but how long will it stay in the hands of them? Saudi has that money, so it's not like they need to sell it. So it's probably going to be that way forever and ever and ever. I just hope that we don't forget, that that's the case. Just in case something pops off. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But, we look at, this, once again, this generation is crazy. This is the weirdest generation on history. It is, period. You'd be like, oh, but the crash of 80, whatever it was, 83 or 82, whatever. Oh my gosh, that was crazy, right? It's like, no, it wasn't. That was just Nintendo, Microsoft, Atari being Crazy. They were wilding in the 80s. Atari was wilding. I mean, I don't think companies wild like Atari wilded back. They were like hookers and blow. Yeah, no, that didn't come from rock and roll. That came from Atari. Come on, son. Anyway, so they are. We're looking at the industry, and Alex said, I said this also before, that there's going to be a not a crash, but a downturn, and that's in the AAA specifically, because of how these companies and corporations have been handling the production of AAA products. They haven't been thinking about, oh, we need to be very efficient in what we do. They're just like, we want it to make like a movie. Words. We want it to look like a movie, make it look like a movie. And so we just gonna hire these people real cheaply, so we can have more of them, so we can pump out more product. But that's not how it works. You need skilled people to do that work. And they had a studio. I forgot what it was called. Spitshine Production. I don't know what they called it. It was like just the Super Media Movie Group or whatever they called it. Unofficially a studio, but that's what they did. They went in and said, yo, let's bust out some cinematics, some QTEs and all that stuff, right? And they did it across all their games, and that's why all the games have the cinematic flavors, right? They shut that down. I believe they shut them down. And meanwhile, Microsoft just created a studio just like that for that purpose, basically. How long are they going to be around? I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure the people at Hellblade could, use a little help with that, with them. Not that they need help. It's just, just to expedite things. So it's like it's weird, because if you look at the trajectory where Sony was at the end of the PS3 generation, they just started this movie-like kind of thing, this movie-like experience and games and stuff. And they kept going. And towards the end of the PS4 generation, Sean Layden was like, yeah, this ain't working, man. We spending too much money. And that wasn't even nothing now. It's like they closing in on $500 million for a game. And it's like, yo, y'all are, and you wonder why the industry is crumbling. Because you can't sustain, it's unsustainable. They talk about Game Pass is unsustainable, blah, blah, blah. How you make games, regular games, is unsustainable. So who's messing up the industry more, Game Pass or PlayStation with their $400 something million games that don't sell enough? Look, ultimately that's on Sony, and that's Sony's pocketbook getting smaller and smaller. So are they gonna wreck the whole entire industry? Hell no. The industry is too big and too strong for Sony themselves. If Sony went away tomorrow, we'd be alright. If Sony went away tomorrow, Sega would be like, oh, time to wake it, let go, come on, let's take over them Sony production line, throw some Dreamcast 3. We just gonna skip to the Super Dreamcast, the Sega Mega Cast, whatever they call it. I'd buy it just because I'm a fanboy. Even if it plays all the same games, Xbox, PC game, even if I still buy it, just so I can say I got the newest Sega console. Yeah, full circle. Let's go. I was looking I saw like little videos and stuff. I was like, yo, there was a mini. It was trash though. It was a mini Mega Drive, but it was a knockoff. So it's like from China. Wicked whatever his name from China. He does. We got the new package from China. I watched his channel. He's funny. And it was so trash. The UI was trash and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's not good. And I actually don't like the Genesis / Mega Drive. I like the Genesis Mini, because it's just a small V1. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. But I would like it only because it's a small little Genesis, not because of what it does, because it plays Genesis scans, which is fine. And I think it does have some things that I do like. Like they actually they went back with Space Harrier 2, and they redid the scaling so that the scaling is smoother. They actually did the software super scaling, which they came up with in the later years of the Genesis. Mark Cerny probably came up with it, because he was the genius at Sega at the time. As much as I hate Sony, Mark Cerny is the reason why the Genesis was such a great console. And go figure. I don't hate Mark Cerny in particular. I just Sony's business practices are very not good. Anyway, so I don't like the Genesis, those little, the Genesis games and stuff, because I grew up on the arcade, and the arcades are, all of the arcade versions of Sega Genesis games are superior, period. And so I prefer the arcade games, and that's where, when I got the 32X, I was like, oh, this is closer. I think the sound wasn't as good, and I don't know if it's 60 frames. It might have been 30 frames. I can't remember. But then when the Saturn came, it was like a perfect, port from the arcade for the Saturn. Power Drift, I got the Japanese version of Power Drift, which is fine because there's no Japanese in it, really. So it was all English. And what else did I get? I got Sega Ages, which had Space Harrier, Outrun, and did it have Galaxy Force? It had 3 games. I know I had Space Harrier and Outrun, but I don't remember the third one. But anyway, my point is, I like the arcade games. I like them better than the Genesis versions, even though they're close, and they're like, oh, when you're a kid, you're like, this is better than the Sega Master System. But I'll always like the arcade, the originals. And if you can improve on them, which I mean, I played Planet Harriers. I didn't really like it because, well, one, it was 3. I think it was on the Naomi. I think it was on the Naomi 1 board. I'm not sure, but it was okay. It was like, oh, it's like a Genesis game, but in the arcade. I mean, the Genesis, like Dreamcast, which is basically the same thing. And so I was like, I wasn't feeling it. I played it a couple times. I was like, and then I stopped. And then I played Yu Suzuki's last game, which was an homage to Space Harrier, which was a phone game, I believe. And then it came out on Xbox. It was called Air Flapper, I can never remember the name. It's such a goofy, bad name. Air Hopper, some air something. And I was like, this, and the soundtrack sounds like freaking Queen. For real. I'm not even joking. You play it, it's like, it sounds like, this is a fantasy. I was like, yo, what the hell? Anyway, after that, I was like, okay, I think Yu Suzuki kind of lost it. I haven't played Shenmue 3. I heard it was hot trash garbage, but I think it's still true to what Shenmue was. And so, I mean, I will play it eventually when it comes to Xbox, but I'm like, I played through Shenmue 2. I think Shenmue 2 might have been the best, but once again, I got to play Shenmue 3 to see if it's any good. But one of the things that made Shenmue so cool is that it had those Sega Yu Suzuki arcade games in it. It had Space Harrier. It had Outrun. I think Galaxy Force was in there somewhere. Maybe. I'm not actually sure. I know Outrun was in. Was that in the first one? I think Outrun was in the first one. Space Harrier was in the second one. I can't remember. But they were there. Was Afterburner in there? I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. But it's like, yo, you look at Sega taking over Sony's spot when they eventually become bankrupt and leave the. I don't think that ever happened because as little money as they make, Sony, that is, and I'm talking about profit, not revenue. So hush up, hush. When you're making 3%, well, they're at 6%. I think they might be at 7% now. But the reason why their margins is going up is because they keep charging more. And they're taking away stuff from their products and keep it the same price. So it's cheaper for them to make. Profit margin goes up because they're ripping you off. Hey, that's your company, man. I'm just saying. And so I look at what PlayStation is doing. I'm like, yo, okay, sure. And then Xbox is like, I mean, here's the thing. And this is why I blame Sony mainly. It's because Sony is the market leader, right? So when Sony does something, it affects the whole market. It's not just, it's not just in a bubble in a vacuum. So when they raise prices, guess what? Everybody's like, oh, the market leader is raising prices. I guess it's okay that we do it too, because a sinking ships lifts, the ships lifts. A rising tide lifts all the ships. And so they raised the price. And so Xbox is like, you know. And the thing about the whole, like, the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy version, people are sitting there like, yo, it's even more than the Pro. And I'm like, no, it's not. I said this before. You got to put it product for product. It's a console with a disk drive and a stand that's built in, so, and 2 terabytes, right? Now, if you put all those things in the PlayStation 5 Pro, Tato, you get more. It's more money then. You know, it's $750 plus, what's the disk drive? 80, something like that. Even if it's 50, then it's the same. Plus the stand, which is 30 or 40, it's more. So the period, it's more. So, and I don't think that's even that little bit of money. Maybe it's like $80 more. That's still not worth buying the Pro, because we're looking at the Pro's performance, and I'm like, that is the look. When Alex calls it a scam, and all these people are calling it a scam, and people are referring to Alex's scam video as, yo, Alex called it a scam, which perpetuates the scam rhetoric and narrative. It seems a little true. When you say it enough times, it might become true. But you say the Piston Tech 5 Potato is a scam. They scammed everybody, and I think they're still riding on that momentum, and I think they're losing. They're starting to lose it, and they are very threatened by these new handhelds, because I'm looking at them, and even with the prices, I'm like, but I know what it is. I know it's not just a handheld. I know that it's an actual PC. I said this last video. I know that it's basically a laptop in a little handheld form. So you could put on a eGPU, or even just a regular GPU prop. Could you do that? Because I was looking at some stuff where they had some GPU docks, so you could put it in the it wasn't the Thunderbolt. It was the other UCOM. I forgot what the actual connection was, but supposedly the newer one is a little bit better than the old one, basically. So, but I don't think it's still as good as Thunderbolt. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that stuff. But I'm like, okay, so wait, if you do that, then do you need the eGPU, or can you do just a regular with a dock? Because that's what they were doing. I think he put a 59. He tried to do a 59, it didn't work. So he did a 40. I think he did a 4090. And then just a dock, you plug it in the power supply, and with the boop, 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 and you plug it into your laptop or whatever, desktop, and boom, you got a. And he was using a mini PC, so that's why he needed to do that. So I was like, oh, okay. And he was doing like performance, and it more than doubled the performance on frames and stuff. And so I was like, okay, so there's different ways that you can kind of go about it. And now you're looking at these little these handhelds, which are basically laptops. I'm like, and it got my brain going like, wait, you can have a laptop. You get the handheld, and if you could do one of these little, GPUs, boo, 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 then you could basically have, then it justifies $1,000. I mean, $1,000 is a lot. And here's the thing, like, here's my question. My one question to you, Microsoft, Xbox, Asus. The NPU in that thing, right? I know it's it's probably for frame generation, probably for upscaling resolution, auto SR, I think they call it, auto super resolution. So is that all it's going to be used for, or is it other things, right? So like, if I wanted to just use this for like gaming sometimes, but actually like a laptop type of environment, put an extra screen on it, boop, 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 right? Will it benefit me as a, I don't know, Blender user or a Ableton Live user, music, doing whatever? Does that NPU benefit me? I have a feeling that it probably won't, because I don't need to upscale my resolution on these these programs, these apps, I don't need to. I mean, would it help in rendering? Would it speed up the rendering? I mean, if it does, then that's a whole different story. But that's usually GPU stuff, so that's where you get the external GPU. And then do you need the NPU, or does the NPU compensate to give you more graphical power from the APU? So yeah, it's all these questions. I have no idea, and yeah, it's not going to be answered anytime soon. We'll see when they come out. We'll see what the internet does to them, test them out and stuff like that. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. I appreciate your hands. Like and subscribe. Hit me up in the comment below. Let me know what you think about EA getting sold, getting bought, being private, going private. Let's see what that does to Madden, to your Madden. Oh boy. Maybe they'll do like every other year. I don't think they'll do that because they make too much money selling them games. I don't know, man. It's tough. But anyway, I appreciate. I'll talk to you on the next one. Do the wait.